To Webster Tarpley, doctor of history, he's also an economist. You broke down 6 months ago, I looked it up, and we wrote articles at the time about it, that the next target would be Pakistan with these secret armies, unconventional warfare. You were getting up to the attack on this secret airbase by Al-Qaeda, very professional, going in. We've been hearing our military run by the globalists, saying they were planning to maybe go into these bases and try to get nukes. Is this a probe to test security by the Al-Qaeda forces that really work for the West? We'll continue along that line. Webster, please continue.
Well, the most recent event, therefore, is this attack on the Faisal Air Force Base, which is also a naval air station in southern Pakistan. It's as far away from the Taliban homeland as you can get. And the targets that were specifically selected were these Orion anti-submarine aircraft, which seem to be, therefore, the incident seems to be designed to blind the Pakistanis in terms of anti-submarine warfare. So that would mean U.S. submarines, for example, firing cruise missiles while submerged, or Indian submarines firing cruise missiles or other things while submerged could be now have an easier time in getting close to the Pakistani coast. So you look at what are supposed to be sort of blind terrorist actions by Taliban guerrilla fighters operating at a very low level of intelligence, and it seems like the target selection procedure rather mirrors the need of a strategic attack against Pakistan. So therefore, if we look at it, there's a plan revealed by Fox News back in 2009 and now repeated in the London Sunday Express this past Sunday, that the Joint Special Operations Command, when commanded by General Stanley McChrystal, created this plan to seize the Pakistani nuclear forces. The Pakistanis allegedly have 80 intermediate-range ballistic missiles at this Sargodha Air Force Base. This is sort of in the north-central part of the country, not so far from Abbottabad, where the pseudo bin Laden was supposedly finished off. But the 80 nuclear missiles are there, plus the F-16s that can carry nuclear bombs. So the entire plan revolves around a raid, right? A lightning commando attack, an assault with SEALs and so forth on this nuclear complex. And the idea is then go in quickly and disable the Pakistani nuclear weapons. The British say, through the Sunday Express, that they're also part of it. So it would be a joint U.S.-British raid into Pakistan to try to seize and destroy these nuclear forces. Now, that would mean that Pakistan would become relatively defenseless against an attack by India. In the background, this whole time in May, there has been a special drill going on of one of the three Indian assault armies, and it's a blitzkrieg drill, nuclear, bacteriological, and chemical, that's going on in the Thar Desert. This is an area called North Rajasthan, and I'm afraid you're going to have to get as familiar with the geography of Pakistan and India as we've gotten with Iraq over the years. So this is a drill that would be designed to cut Pakistan in half in case of war. And if the Pakistanis don't have nuclear forces, they can't defend themselves. That seems to be what all of this revolves around. Now, the scenario that has been developed is this. It reminds us of this guy, Ray Davis, right, the CIA contractor who was accused by the Pakistanis of killing two of their ISI agents and was then expelled after the State Department screamed bloody murder for weeks about this guy. His task, according to the Pakistani media, also according to Russian reports, people like this working for the CIA, and there are 7,000 of them in Pakistan, most of them unknown to the government. What they're up to right now is getting control of atomic materials, right, nuclear waste, stuff for a radiological dirty bomb, or chemical, or bacteriological, biological, and transferring those into the hands of the Taliban, which could very well mean this Taliban counter-gang that we've been talking about, this pseudo-Taliban created by the U.S., the Indians, and the Israelis, and then attacking a U.S. post, attacking something, say, in Afghanistan on that side of the border. That would then be the pretext to say, aha, you Pakistanis are incapable of providing the security for your nuclear forces, therefore we the U.S., the British, and others are going to seize them. So
and that's the scenario. That was the attempt a month ago, again, to claim that the stuff's leaking out and being stolen and given to the al-Qaeda people. Now they're saying, oh, look, Taliban's trying to get in to steal it. We've now got to invade or threaten you to hand it over to us because you can't be trusted. Now, here's the big shift I'm seeing. Pakistan has gone from being, basically going under the 10-year-old deal or 9-year-old deal that Pervez Musharraf, the dictator, the admitted Western puppet, put into place. And the old puppet was brought back, Benazir Bhutto. She didn't play ball, so she was executed in the street by Cheney-connected people, according to Pakistani intelligence. Now this is ongoing. And this signifies the fact that Pakistan now realizes they're slated to be broken up regardless, so they're desperately running to people they haven't been friendly with, the Chinese, to some extent the Russians, who they really haven't been friendly with. And so this signifies a massive program of destabilization has been executed. You dovetail that with this incredible announcement, and this keeps happening. Associated Press, and of course they don't want Ahmadinejad to look weak, so the government's lying, obviously. Blast hits Iranian refinery as Ahmadinejad visits. And so right as he arrives, the plant blows up. An explosion blamed on gas leak. But Bush in 2008 put out a press release, or 2007, admitting that they've got groups and special forces inside there doing this. I mean, that's policy. And an explosion blamed on a gas leak rocked Iran's largest refinery on Tuesday around the time of a visit to the plant by President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Iranian media reported that up to 2 people were killed. The blast occurred just before Ahmadinejad was to inaugurate an expansion project of the 400,000 barrel per day. And notice they just signed a deal, Iran did, with Iraq for this natural gas. And no, you're not. It's going to blow up, and we'll do it while Ahmadinejad's there. You dovetail that. I mean, this is this soft kill, low-intensity warfare, unconventional commando type stuff, where they're really trying to start World War III right now. That is the banks that have hijacked this country. Libya, British attack helicopters to be deployed, seen as the next step to ground invasion. EU lines up resolution to start ground invasion that they promised they wouldn't do. NATO hits Tripoli. U.S. says rebels can open office. Bombing begins of their shipyards. Eight warships sunk 2 days ago. I mean, this is going into high gear. Webster, I mean, are they launching some type of? I mean, this is scary.
I think it shows that the U.S. British ruling elite has gone collectively insane, and that they're in a war psychosis. They're also in an austerity psychosis. They're obsessed with the idea that the dollar and all of their derivatives are going down the drain, and they're in a flight forward. So this is a time of tremendous irrationality. The problem we have is that the general public remains unaware of most of these very, very shocking and very, very disturbing and scary events, primarily because the entire left opposition, so-called peace movement and related people, foundation funded in particular, have essentially given up on opposing Obama.
They're not opposing; they're cheerleading the wars. But Webster, I mean, let's back off from this for a moment. Look. Clearly, it's the old thing of ramming the Branch Davidian compound, saying, come out, we're your friends, and the Davidians run out, and the FLIR footage shows the special forces shooting them, or you watch a Hollywood movie like Mars Attacks, which is a joke on the Pentagon, an archetype with the aliens running around saying, don't run, we're your friends, and the humans come out of their houses, and the aliens laugh and shoot them. Obama comes out and says, we're your friends, Israel, give back the land to the Palestinians. And then a day later says, look, it was all just a psyop. They're saying, don't run, we are your friends. Netanyahu's smiling about all this. It's total theater as they launch the disintegration of the Middle East. I mean, this is hellish what they're doing.
On the other hand, there is a pushback. On June 15th, there will be the meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And this, of course, is Russia, China, and the 5 Central Asian former Soviet republics there, ex-Soviet space, and it's also got Iran and India as observers. So if we can say behind Pakistan there now stands China. We've also had signals from Russia. Medvedev, who is the soft line, he's the weak side of the Russian establishment. In his press conference last week, Medvedev's line was, we face a new Cold War with the United States because of Obama's insistence on building the anti-ballistic missile systems in Romania, Poland, and elsewhere in Eastern Europe. It's a new Cold War.
And notice Obama said a year ago they weren't going to build the missiles. It's all, don't run where you're friends, and you lower your guard and they stab you.
He lies. I guess that guy was right, the one who shouted it out. So we also have President Hu of China in meeting with some journalists, looking forward to this meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization at the middle of next month. He said, our relations, Chinese relations with Russia, are at an all-time high. They have never been better. So behind Pakistan stands China, behind China stands Russia. That's pretty much the breakdown. But also don't forget this idea of the Pakistan-Saudi alliance that is, I think, very real. It's the cause, it's the immediate reason why this is happening right now in this time frame. And Bandar's Saudi diplomacy with Putin. So it's beginning to coalesce into a coherent bloc of opposition. I would appeal once again to India. India is very, very ill-advised to stay in this U.S.-India nuclear deal. It simply makes India into cannon fodder. It makes India into the expendable continental dagger of the U.S. and the British, a large land power to be used against China, Russia.
And the globalists wreck them even more economically in the process, and then they go into more debt. And the parasitic bankers get America more into debt and bankrupt us more, but we get patriotic in this new giant war the Rand Corporation said they needed 3 years ago in that very area to, quote, get their new world order. Now we're not worried about the global bankers looting us because we're all patriotic because World War III has started. Now, how do you see this program going? What's the globalists' next move then as they gallop forward into this conflagration?
Well, they're very ill-advised to do so, right? One of the ways you can tell they're really crazy is they want to attack Pakistan even when their supply line goes through Pakistan. The whole invading force inside Afghanistan depends on this port of Karachi to Khyber Pass 1,000-mile land corridor, which goes right through the middle of Pakistan. And the Pakistani parliament unanimously voted, stop your predator drone attacks, or we are going to cut that supply line for you. Now, in terms of what's going to happen, again, the scenario, terror events that are directed against U.S. forces or even against the Pakistanis themselves would be used as a pretext for Obama to come out and say, with his unbelievable hypocrisy and condescension, he could say, we see that these Pakistanis are incapable of maintaining the security of their nuclear forces. Therefore, we're going to help them. We're going to give them assistance. And I've ordered the Joint Special Operations Command, and the specific group is called Task Force Orange. Task Force Orange would be that group that did that Bin Laden caper, whatever that.
And so the invasion and occupation of the Pakistani bases will be, don't run, we're your friends.
We're your friends.
And if anybody says don't occupy us, how dare the Pakistanis not let us occupy them? Those savages, oh.
But of course, most people in the world don't believe this anymore. It would be good if the SCO or people like this came out and denounced this more obviously. But I'm afraid this is where we're going. So the main thing is, if these things happen, don't believe them and inoculate your friends, neighbors, your readers, your listeners.